Hello, everyone. I have a surprise for you all, a top thought leader interview conversation that is meant to inspire you to spark your dream life. And I'm going to reveal who I have here with me in just a second, just to give you a glimpse of what's going to happen in this call. My book, Permission to Sparkle, is the conversation basis of this thought leader conversation. And I have a guest with me who also specializes in helping people spark their dream life. And we picked a chapter in the book that is all about living your life in your own rules, setting your own rules. And so I'm very excited to bring somebody on the screen here. Welcome, Sarah Kalmeta. Sorry. And you are officially with the title Sarah the Pivoter. I got you. You're here. Sarah the Pivoter is your title that you put yourself out there in the world. I'm going to introduce you real quick and then I'll let you fill in the blanks. So you are a mindset Jedi is how I met you, and you are really powerful about finding your courage and helping people find their courage and walk in their courage and with a powerful mindset to create their dream life. And you work specifically with ambitious leaders and entrepreneurs and creative thinkers to help them transform the way they're operating so that they can more powerfully create their dream life and live success in their own terms and are truly madly in love with their life. So I love all the words that you're using and what you do. So welcome, Sarah. I'm so excited to have you.
Thank you so much for having me here. It's a pleasure.
Yeah. Do you want to share a bit more before we go into the conversation about this particular chapter of setting your own rules and talking about that? Tell us more about what you do for people so people can meet you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. So, I'm a mindset and leadership coach. And when I say leadership, I don't just mean in the boardroom, I also mean in your own life, in the bedroom, insert place. Being the leader of the self is really where it all starts. And so, we met through Facebook, and on Facebook, I have a group, a fun community that we're growing. It's full of Jedi mindset masters. And the reason why I chose the Jedi is because they talk about the Force. And there's a lot of forces in our world around us, and they pull on our attention and our energy, and they distract us. But when we've got that real solid internal force, and we live life by our own rules, then we're really the Jedi masters of our own universe. And so we can take aligned action, we can sparkle more. I actually also sign off my podcast with what's going to make you sparkle today. So when I saw the name of your book, I was like, yes, we have to do this. So it's very aligned.
That's so good. I love everything you say, and I love the analogy to the Jedi inner force, and I bet that they also had some of that in their movie. Like it's so funny, like how those movies a lot of times have spiritual, deeper meanings if we think about them. It's really interesting. Very cool. So tell us also, before we go deeper, actually in the book, I'm really curious about how did you get to where you're at today? Like, how did that show up in your life that you're now teaching people that? What was your learning and Jedi adventure to get there?
So my Jedi adventure had me through many different pivots in my life. I originally was on the track for Olympic figure skating, and then injuries meant I had to pivot. I channeled that into aviation. I had a couple of forced career pivots due to the global financial crisis and COVID. So I have learned to become very agile and resilient. But along the way, I also started to realize that I had this passion for people and for helping shine the flashlight on what they couldn't see, be that mirror to reflect back to them and take them on that journey of growth. And you mentioned Jedis and being spiritual. A lot of people get triggered by this word, but if you look at the masters of our world, no matter what industry it is, they are all doing some sort of practice that they would then term spiritual, but that definition is different to each of them. So really my mission is, when I'm working with my clients, is to hold up that mirror so that firstly, they can see their own brilliance
Nice.
and be inspired by themselves. And then also to help them redefine, what does success mean? Because
Mhm.
we often define success in such rigid terms, or by when we get something, then I will be, rather than and, or what about this moment, finding the profound and the mundane, right? Because the masters really come from enjoying every bit of the process, not just the end
Mhm.
result. And so really playing with the words, the rules, the state of being. And then
Mhm.
that is how we can start to usher in that feeling of success each and every day.
Oh, that is really great. And that comes back to that whole feeling the force inside of you as you walk, being present, which would be a spiritual analogy, right? If like when we can do that, that practice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is super exciting. So I'm curious about a spot in your life. You mentioned that you had several pivot moments and stuff. Like, where do you feel you were able to use your own principles for yourself to pivot from not being in that Jedi power to finding it? What does a story come to you?
Yeah, definitely. So that story would be my divorce, actually,
Mm,
because, I had done all the things right that society told me, and I had all the boxes ticked, right?
mhm,
School, got a degree, got straight A's, blah, 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 awards, all the goals I set financially and, title wise and these types of things, I hit 6 years earlier than I originally thought I would take me to get there. And then I was kind of sitting there and I was going, okay, well, I've got all of the things I'm supposed to want that I've worked and strived so hard for. Why am I
mhm,
miserable and lonely? And I
mhm,
realized that I had all these layers of societal programming and conditioning on top of the true me, and that voice hadn't actually come out. And as I started to realize this and let her out,
mhm,
then the things around me were no longer in harmony. It was no longer
mhm.
aligned. And
Oh, great. Yes.
yeah, so I started to realize, I let this take over and I
Mhm,
completely ignored this.
mhm,
And I didn't have joy. I didn't have sparkle in my life anymore. It was
mhm,
very like, what's going to get me to the next thing? Efficiency, productivity, type A, go, 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 drive, drive, drive.
mhm,
And no room for that space to allow the joy to come through. Or even if I was doing something enjoyable, I wasn't fully present.
mhm,
It was a very lonely place to be. And what I realized was that I was actually rejecting myself. It
mhm,
wasn't the things around me rejecting me or abandoning me. It was me doing that to myself. And once
mhm.
I had that realization, that kickstarted this whole peel back the layers, heal, go down deeper,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
really get back to the core of, who do I want to be in
Nice.
this, right? How do I want to feel, rather than who do others want me to be, and
Yes.
how can I achieve that?
Mm.
Yeah.
Perfect segue to the chapter that you picked that we're going to talk about. I love it. Thank you for sharing that. So like I mentioned, we're now picking a chapter of my book, Permission to Sparkle, which is all about walking in that inner power and creating our dream life. And I'm picking chapters with thought leaders that then we discuss. And so, Sarah, you picked the chapter of defining your own sparkle life and setting your own rules. And I'm going to read the introduction here briefly in the chapter. And then I have another quote that wanted to come through earlier. So that actually I got inspired to say that quote first. Okay, so I opened the book before we went live, inspired to look at something and to share that here. And what I landed on was imagine only believing that a cake is possible when you see the whole cake, and you cannot trust it when you just assemble the first ingredients. Which that was really funny to me several times in my life as I was thinking about those mind stories that I had going on. Because a lot of times I wouldn't believe something better or bigger or more sparkly was possible for me. It's like the same analogy of like thinking you cannot bake a cake.
I
um, just
love
because you don't see it yet, right? Like, does that resonate with you too, Sarah? Did you have that
Oh,
also?
absolutely. I mean, you're looking at a bag of flour and it's like dry and powdery. I mean, you're sitting there thinking like, oh, what is this? And then if you just use the right ingredients, you have this delicious, tasty cake or, a pretzel or a bread, whatever it is that floats your boat. And, it just goes to show you that if we look at one piece, we miss the bigger picture. And so, yeah, that
Mhm.
really resonates.
Yeah, and I love that ties to what you said earlier that you were listening to your mind only while you were striving, and you didn't acknowledge the heart piece where all the magic comes from. And so then, so you weren't, yeah, you were baking stale cookies.
Yes, exactly.
So, so that's so great. Okay, cool. So that I feel that quote I feel is really important to bring through also to inspire everybody watching this that anything is possible, even if you might not think right now that it is for yourself. So anything that we are talking about, Sarah and I here, is literally we experienced in our lives. Like we both transformed our lives. Like I went through a divorce, like I went through cancer, and like uh, I still am on that journey, and we can walk in every step. We can walk in a sparkly, empowered way. So whatever happens in your life, you can make your life more sparkly. And that's when you believe in the full magical cake,
Yeah.
even if it might not look like it. So that being said, here we go. I am reading the intro of this chapter here, and then we'll go deeper with that. So what I wrote here, how this chapter helps to define your own sparkle life and setting your own rules. As I'm writing this chapter, I am redefining my rules in my life. I am making my own personal happy sparkle list for how I want to live, setting the tone for my next steps in my life adventure, calling the shots. This is for you when you are ready to bust your old paradigms and define your own dream life. Again, I'm leading with story. Join me to get inspired to set your own rules for your own life. And when I wrote this, I had just realized that actually I had to leave my marriage, and it wasn't one of those like, oh my gosh, big like bad things happen per se, but I did feel that my heart was not aligned anymore with where my soul wanted to go. And so I was in this place to give myself permission to really think openly, well, what do I really want in life? And I made this whole list in here as an example of what I wanted in life. And that is a chapter to spark that for you, to give yourself permission to really think, okay, if you could have anything and experience anything, what do you truly want? What kind of experiences? So Sarah, you picked that chapter. What inspired you to pick that chapter, and what stood out for you personally, if you think of your own teachings and your own life and what you're passionate about now?
Yeah, beautiful. Well, I just went down the table of contents and went to the titles that really pulled me. And this was the first one, defining your own sparkle life and setting your own rules. Well, I've always been one to kind of set my own rules and do my own thing. So it was a um, perfect thing to from the get-go. And then as I was reading it and I was reading what you wrote in your story and what you've just shared, that's exactly where I was. There was no like momentous moment or huge dramatic thing that was taking place. It was just this realization that we were no longer in alignment, and the way
Mhm.
that I wanted to live life was okay. I didn't need to berate myself. I didn't need to feel bad or
Mhm.
try to change my core. And by that token, I also could not ask my partner at the time to change his core. So we made
Mhm.
that very
Yeah.
mature decision to respect each other's paths and growth. And as much as it hurt, to go our separate ways. The suffering came to the clinging of what it was and this hoping it could be something else and not
Yeah.
facing the reality of, we're both growing, but in different directions. And
Yeah.
so that was something that really spoke to me. And, just this whole concept of shifting the paradigm. That's
Mhm.
exactly what I talk about all the time with my clients. That's what I do in my own life. we have to give ourselves permission. I actually have my clients write themselves a permission slip.
Oh, really? You do?
Uh,
That's so good. That's so good.
So what I'll do is, depending on what it is, maybe they feel a bit guilty, or and it's something for them, but they think, oh, I need to do something for my kids or at work or this. So I'll have them get out a piece of paper and I have them write down. I give myself permission to, and we just start writing out all the things.
Nice.
Sometimes that is all you need. I was just in Austin last month. That's where I'm going to be moving, by the way, just making that formal, letting everybody know. And we had this beautiful day, and it was like warm. It was probably 85 degrees Fahrenheit. We were by the lake, and we wanted to go swimming and do a cold plunge because it's still February. It's still going to be cold. And I didn't bring my bathing suit. Didn't even think to, and was like, what am I even worried about? So I was like, I don't want wet underwear later. I don't want to have wet, I want to be dry later. So I just took everything off, jumped in, and I was like, baptism. And all the other girls were like, thank you for giving us permission to do the same thing, because we wanted to. And it was just so beautiful that we were able to have that experience and to feel so safe in a container of people that we could just feel comfortable to do that, right? And so that was really, really powerful. But yeah, this chapter, and then as I went through it, like, what are the things that I want? And just everything that you wrote, I was like, yes, 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 yes. And this something, why we don't get what we want is because we can't define it. Most people don't know how to define what success is. They don't know how to define what fulfillment is to them. Sure, they have a definition, but it may not be theirs. It might be their parents, it might be their school,
exactly.
their culture, and they've never dared to even ask themselves what they want, or to write it down, because maybe they have an emotion around it, right? Maybe there's a bit of or guilt that they're made to feel, and so they don't want to feel that thing. So they just kind of put it in a box and then put it on the shelf. And my mission is to get people, break them out of the box, make sure they don't have Stockholm syndrome, and let them follow the candy trail out into their new reality, which they get a chance to create. So I just was completely aligned. And what I really loved the most was this: to become our fully sparkly selves, we need to love ourselves as our very own soulmate.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I have this tattoo on my left hip that I got in Thailand after a particularly bad breakup, 12 years ago. And it was, you love yourself before you love another. That's what it translates.
Yeah, nice.
I always understood it conceptually, but didn't really fully embody that or feel that until very recently. And I'm now at this stage, and I'm not saying that, I won't have my moments of self-doubt, but I'm now at this very secure spot of, I will not risk the relationship and love I have with myself in order to save the love with somebody else.
Oh, yeah. No, that won't work.
Compromise the love that I have for myself in order to have the external thing. We will always have an issue, and there will not be a strong foundation. And it's honestly the first time, like this last week, it really hit home for me that it's okay if other things, people, places, ideas, things fall away because I'm myself. And it's just such a powerful place to be. And everything about it is very true. That's how you sparkle.
Yeah, exactly. That is so wow, you're saying so many awesome things that can inspire in so many ways. And one thing that just sparked back to me is like, how do we get there, right? Like that question that will probably come to many people. And I ask myself that. I began with asking the curiosity, well, how do I give myself permission? And like, how can my life be more sparkly? So that was the first thing. But what I just got as visual as you're speaking, if we make this a play prompt right now, this chapter, and basically you're giving yourself permission to look at your life and ask yourself this question, what would you love to see if you set your own rules, and really ask, what do you want in your life? What do you want to experience in all the areas? And I had several examples here of like, well, I want to have deep experience of soul connections. I want to have magical soul love energy and feel that. I want to feel utterly adored, and all of that. Like, no matter if anybody's around, right? So I made this list. So as you make your own list, then you have all these desires floating around, and it's almost like I see like as if you're in this wish bubble, right? And you have all these desires floating around. So you're like in a it's like in the movies when they freeze the time and everything's floating and you're just there like, ooh. So that moment is a permission moment where anything becomes possible, right? And like when you picture yourself, and you can take this afterward too in your own way, you can have all this without anything around you. With, and this might be like, this might sound like really wild, but like play with this thought for a moment. Like if everything fell away, like your partner, your people, anything, like like in Cancer, I lost all my hair, like all femininity, like things, right? Like if anything fall away, and you can still have this, like what can you do for yourself right now? And as you're curious with that, how you can create that for yourself, that's when you connect with your Jedi power, and you're not dependent on other people supplying that for you, but you're already beaming that for yourself, right? Like, do you want to take it from here, Sarah? Like, what comes to you?
Yeah. Well, like attracts like. So if you're in misery, you're going to attract other people in misery who are going to complain with you and, look at the world as happening to them, not for them. But if you start to take that control, because all control is an illusion. The only thing that you have the power over is yourself and how
Mm-hmm.
you emote, how you feel, how you think and behave.
Mm-hmm.
Because when we try to change other people, that's stressful. And then there's, they get defensive. Why can't you accept me for who I am? We want to be accepted. We want to be seen.
Yeah.
So in reciprocity, we must do that for other people too.
Mm-hmm.
And this is also speaking to all the polarity that's happening in the world today, whether it's politics or race or religion or COVID. I mean, respect other people just as much as you respect yourself. If you can't respect their wish or their belief, then that means you're also not respecting the fact that you have this right.
Mm-hmm.
So as you start to understand what gives you joy, and I like that you changed your word from want to desire, because desire is a much more powerful place than want. For me, the difference is that a want is fleeting. A want is like, I want to have some ice cream right now. I want to get chocolate, right? It's superficial. It's like your emotions. It comes in waves. It'll come and go. Emotions are meant to move. It's energy in motion. If we then go into desire, now there we're getting to the root of it. Now we've got deep roots into something. We can connect to our why. We can connect to our values. We can connect to our greater needs, which for us are like oxygen, that help us to become a better person, that we grow from, right? And from this place, we're acting from a place of power, and we can take aligned actions. And so how do we do this? Very simply, start asking yourself what you desire. And in that moment, what do I desire in this moment? If you're watching this live, you're going to watch it back later. Stop and ask yourself this question. Write it down. And then go and do that thing. Because when you go and do that thing, you're positively reinforcing it for yourself. And then you're more likely to get momentum, because guess what? You're going to get dopamine. And from a neuroscience point of view, that's all we need. Dopamine is our drive. It's our focus. It feels good. And we actually release it before we do the activity. So by the activity that brings you joy, you get some dopamine. Now you're more motivated to go and do it. You do the activity, you get some more. And then we can have that momentum.
Yes.
But if you don't listen to those desires, then it's just, you put it back on the shelf. So the only way to get better at something is practice. It's like using, at the gym.
Yeah, I love all that. And one thing that you said is like taking an inspired action, then like to make it a thing. I found that for myself, that has been a huge thing that actually did then move me forward. And it's not just even just logically, but it was like if I didn't take any action and just put it back on the shelf, which I had done before, then I was inside, like my insides were like not happy, and then you get more and more disgruntled because you're you're not loving yourself enough to actually do something about your desires. It's like, it's like being a little girl. You make a Christmas wish and you never give it to yourself. You're just
Yeah.
like, nah, here. And then at some point, you get like, we're unhappier and unhappier, and we can paste things on top of it, but it won't really fix it. And so, and I'm not just talking about, we're not talking about superficial things. We're talking about deep core, like heart desires of what we want to experience. So this is not about material things, although it can also include material things. It can be both, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah. And I want to give an example from my recent journey, and then maybe you have an example for yours. And we're already almost at half an hour. Oh my goodness. So
When we sparkle, time has no meaning.
I know.
Time's
So
not linear, so it's just how it works.
it does. So for me, an example, if you all are watching right now and you're thinking like, oh, this is too hard, I can't do anything, or I don't know, and then you just kind of like really close to just dismissing it, right? So, my example that I like to share as of recent is from my cancer healing journey when I was in this really intense time of one of the harsher chemos, that where I had very limited capability of actually doing things for myself in a way, because I didn't feel like getting creative. I had moments where I was just like, I'm like, just, I can only sit here right now and do this, just be here and wait to get better kind of thing. But I did have that desire to feel better and to heal. And I kept in the curiosity, well, what can I do for myself right now? I kept asking that. And sometimes it was just a little thing of like, open the window and just lay there and get fresh air. And that was a thing that got me to the next step. Or it was a really strong desire. You need to feed yourself right now. Even if you don't know what you're going to eat, you got to do something. And make some food, even if you don't feel like getting up. And so all of that was actually, and I had to do it because otherwise I was like really miserable. And I actually felt that burning problem of like, if you don't do this, you're going to feel like even more shit. And so I got to learn the practice of self-love, because it is for me, all of that, that we take our inspired action, like to what our heart tells us that serves us right now to make our life more sparkly. As we take those micro actions, we make our life more sparkly and we love ourselves. It's actually us living the self-love, and then making it a practice, and then it becomes bigger and bigger as we do that.
Yeah.
What comes to you, for example, as an example, or how did that resonate for you, Sarah?
Yeah, no, that definitely resonates. I mean, at the end of the day, we can't pour from an empty cup. So if you're not feeling all these different sides of you, then you will eventually run out. And so in my company logo, I have a triangle, and the reason for that is it's mind, body, spirit. Spirit's actually on the bottom. If that spirit part of you, that self, is not fulfilled, you do not have a strong foundation. And an equilateral triangle is actually the most stable form in geometry. It's a building block of the universe. And if we have an equilateral triangle, if you fall over to another direction, all of a sudden you're still supported. Well, what happens for most people is they really feel the body, they really feel the mind, they don't feel the spirit. So when the body gets taken away, they have an injury or they have a health problem, they can't go to the gym, now they collapse, or their job gets taken away. Now they're mentally not strong, right? So we need all three components. And you can insert spirit with whatever word you want. This is the thing. You get to create your own definition. You get to create your own rules, right? What you are hearing me say this entire live is going to be different than what the person next to you watching this live is going to hear. Maybe your own perception, your own filters, your own judgments, right? And so just know that, and that will then allow you to step into this space. And so for me, I think it was just this, consistent action. It's not an overnight shift by no means. I mean, I've been on this journey for very focused since 2018, and there would be good days and there'd be bad days, and it would be like way up and then
Mhm.
way down, and
Yeah.
kind of this tumultuous experience. And what happens is you peel back a layer, you self-soothe, you heal, you nourish, you get another layer, and
Yeah.
deeper and you go deeper. Or another way to think of it is like a video game. And as you go to the next level of the video game,
Yeah.
guess what? It's harder. It's harder to kill the bad guys. It's harder to get the treasure. It's harder to do all the things, but you also have more tools and more experience and more wisdom.
Mm.
So this is where I'm going to throw it in. You get to pivot with more ease and more sparkle.
Nice. You get stronger in every level too, because you then can conquer even bigger challenges and things like that. That's really cool. I love that you also have a playful approach and metaphors in your work. That's in my work as well. So, where can people find you, Sarah, if they want to? And what will they find there? Like, what cool things do you have happen right now?
I've got so many super rad things. So if you follow my name, which is on the screen, Sarah the Pivoter, you can find me on Instagram. I share a lot of content there. I do lives as well. I've got my own version called the Pivot Cast, and Astrid's going to be my guest in the future also, so we can talk more about amazing, sparkly things. I'm also on Facebook. I'm on LinkedIn. My surname is Kalmeta, but if you Google Sarah the Pivoter, you'll find me. My website's super difficult, sarahkalmeta.com. And on there, you can find all the different podcasts that I've done, blogs that I've written. I have a free ebook, The Pivoter's Guide to the Galaxy, Your Guide to a Rockin' Year. And in that ebook, what you'll get is some mindset tools and shifts, as well as some worksheets that will help you to align exactly this, what you dream and desire, make it a reality, habit trackers, all the fun things, especially if you're super type A and a driver. You want to soften a little bit just to experience that joy without losing your edge, then that book's for you.
That sounds amazing. Thank you for sharing that. So I want to share before we hop off where people can learn more about me also. And I have also playgrounds, and you can simply buy the book and play on your own, or come to my Joy Life Sparkle Club, where I do workshops with creativity, where every week you get to play and you get to make your life more sparkly with creativity and curiosity, and join that practice of laying that foundation of self-love, self-nourishment, and continuously taking baby steps in making your life more empowered from within. And I also have a card game, and I want to pull a card as last inspiration for everybody. Play prompt. So it's a game that is inspired by the book. It's like the fast track, the playful fast track to make your life more sparkly and to get out of your head whenever your mind is like, you're going in circles, or you need more playfulness, because that brings us into our zone of genius. So I have 3 cards in there, and I'm going to ask you to say stop when I shuffle them. I want to show them real quick. There's 3 types. One are playful cards. They're juicy cards that help you loosen up and then find your most inspired heart answers. And then there are super tool cards where you get to, like, for instance, like fast glasses to look at things differently and things like that. What I got inspired to take into my hands are the sparkle cards, and they're all about finding inner superpowers and realizing that you are already a diamond. And the play prompts in there will help you see that. So I'm going to shuffle, and I'll let you say stop, and then I'll take the top card here. What? Did you say something?
I said okay, but you can stop now.
Okay. All right, cool. This is funny. There's a swear word in there. Anybody who doesn't.
That's totally my energy.
Okay, here's the play prompt. I'm going to show it real quick, and then I'm going to read it to you all. Limitation, transmuter of poo. Think of something you really want to know how to do, but haven't been able to. How come? What story have you been telling yourself? What beliefs do you need to let go of? What start to believe? and there was an asterisk in there that says you can do anything.
Yes, you can do anything, and sometimes you have to really clean out, all that gunk inside, get that excrement out. There's a whole other word I'm thinking of that I'm, channeling mentally to everyone. When we get rid of that, we can rewrite the story.
Yes,
And
exactly. We can. So with that, we're going to leave everybody to an action prompt to make your life more sparkly. It was such a pleasure to have you here. Sarah, thank you for your wisdom and for helping me make the world a more joyful place and help people make their life more sparkly. And that, of course, makes the planet more sparkly and
absolutely.
brings more of that positivity and inner power and goodness that is very much needed right now, and also brings wellness and all the good things that we dream of. So thank you, Sarah, and thanks everyone. If you have questions, comment, we will address the comments. And yeah, come on, follow us and whatever. Yeah, follow your instincts and you'll find what you need.
Thank you.
All
Thank
right.
you.